there's a reason why the Jose's are so popular, because they do fit multiple frames, and just being able to like not have like the extra glare on the side, that peeks in through, the outside of your eyes. And it's definitely a lot of thought went into the whole process and everything. And they did a great job.
Welcome to the Woman Angler and Adventurer Podcast, inspiring real women with a passion for fishing in the outdoors to go get their adventure on. Now, here's your host, coming to you from the Lance Chuck Camper Mobile Podcast Studio, Master Captain Angie Scott.
Welcome, everyone, to this week's episode of the Woman Angler and Adventurer Podcast. I'm your host, Angie Scott. And I'm excited to be back in the putting out new episodes for you guys every week now that the Classic is wrapped up and the Outdoor Media Summit. And so this week I have a special guest with me. I'm really excited to introduce you to Krissy Wejebe. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me, Angie.
Yeah, so I love the Keys. I love saltwater fishing. You get to live it. Talk a little bit about your background and your dad, Jose, who is just an absolute legend and has had a major impact on fishing in general, but especially down in the Keys where you are, and just growing up a Wejebe.
Well, I can tell you, I've been very fortunate to be able to live and breathe this lifestyle my entire life. I was born in Key West, October 25th, 1983. And I have lived in Florida the majority of my life. I spent 5 years in Maine, freezing my butt off during high school. But I was born to an angler, and my mother was a dolphin trainer for 18 years. So, childhood did not suck. It was, around animals all the time. I grew up with swimming with dolphins on the surfboard to getting dragged on scouting missions with my dad, all over the place. I would like to say I fished a lot more with my dad than I actually did, but usually, fishermen on their day off, they're looking, they're dialed into where the fish are. They're looking for where the fish might be. So there was a lot of times growing up as a kid where it's just a lot of casting, a lot of looking around. Okay, the tide's not right. Let's move over to this spot. And it was back in the day and age where we didn't have apps to tell us all this stuff either, too. So it's a lot of time spent out on the water. It's definitely a very unique way to grow up. I tell people a lot that I never knew how good of a fisherman my dad was until I started fishing with other people. My dad was not a fishing snob. We'd fish for whatever was biting. It didn't matter if it was jacks, barracudas, tarpon, bonefish. He was always, I think a lot of guides, can get very caught up in the species and just trying to acknowledge that, sometimes it's just more fun to bend the rod, versus, trying for, days and days to get that one tarpon or get that one permit. So it definitely brought me up with a way to appreciate all species, and that, fishing's fun for pretty much everything. And just getting dialed back into, like, when you were a kid fishing off the dock, it didn't matter how big the fish was. You were just excited to be out there.
Yeah, and it's great that you being born into this lifestyle, that you actually loved and appreciated it, because not all kids are cut out for it.
No, well, I think my moving to Maine definitely kind of shocked me into the aspect of people don't normally grow up like this. This is a once in a lifetime vacation for a lot of people. And after I moved, I was like, oh, you can't just go outside whenever you want to. It's flipping freezing. Or, it gets hot down here for sure. But, just to be able to go outside at any point in time and really enjoy what we've got down here was definitely something that I was able to realize after moving.
Yeah, I could see how that could really open your eyes when that's all you've known your whole life, and then you
Mm-hmm.
experience something totally different. Because we do kind of get a little bit complacent in life sometimes. I live on a houseboat, which is a dream, to be able to just wake up and look out, and I'm on the water every
Yeah.
day. But sometimes I do catch myself like taking it for granted. So,
Mm-hmm.
some people dream of renting a houseboat for a week for their vacation to, stay on. And it's like, I get to do this every day. So I
Yeah.
can sort of relate to what you're talking about there.
Yeah.
So, so you have this amazing childhood. Your dad unfortunately tragically passes away. It's been 10 years now.
Mm-hmm.
I know you've established the Jose Wejebe Memorial Foundation. Talk a little bit about that and what the purpose is of that.
So the mission of the Jose Wejebe Spanish Fly Memorial Foundation is to honor Jose's legacy by matching his passion for conservation, education, and making fishing dreams come true. So what all that means is, my dad was always tapped in to whoever really needed help the most at that point in time. I remember, birthday, Christmas, what do you want for Christmas, Dad? And he'd always say, donate to Make-A-Wish or donate to the victims of the earthquake out in Haiti, or I have a buddy whose boat just sank, and he has a little fundraiser going on at the Tiki Bar. Donate a couple bucks to that. It was just always whoever needed the most help at that time, and I think it's important that the foundation always reflects what Jose would do. So, he did bring quite a few Make-A-Wish kids out fishing over his career. So that was a no-brainer for us. But then some of the other stuff, like the conservation and education aspects, after Hurricane Irma hit the Keys, we were kind of like at a standstill. People didn't have their own homes to go back to. We were out of our house for 6 months with a 6-month-old boy. So that was fun. But it was like, okay, we can't bring people fishing. It's not safe to be out on the water right now, and there's nowhere for them to stay. And all captains are just trying to get their homes or boats up to par so they can be able to continue to go and make a living. So where's the need? And I remember I was going for a walk and I saw like a little bird's nest, and a lot of the bird's nest had like drywall insulation in it, like little pieces of pink fiberglass in this little bird's nest. And I was like, oh, well, that can't be good. And we got to a point in Monroe County where the county, DOT, the sanctuary, everybody's arguing with whose responsibility, who's going to fund to clean all this stuff up. And we just kind of got sick of it. And we were just like, we'll do it. So after Irma, we removed over 300,000 pounds of debris from the Florida Keys, whether it was roadside, sanctuary, out in the mangroves. We took it out. And then during COVID, we also helped with grassroots organizations located here in the Keys. People weren't making money, but they still had bills to pay. So just identifying where the need is the greatest, and kind of go out there and get it done. During with Hurricane Ida out in Louisiana, we partnered with IGFA to donate to the WARF Foundation, the World Angling Relief Fund. And we'll do that again for Ian Relief over in Fort Myers, and just kind of continuing that general idea of like, what would Jose do right now? We brought over 420 individuals out on the water. We just got done with 3 veterans trips down here in the Keys. And we got more that we're planning. We also, in the works, is a mentorship program where we are going to put our captains through a little bit of mental health orientation, Spanish fly ethics, get them Spanish fly certified, and pair them with local kids down here in the Keys. Going back to my childhood, I was very fortunate to be able to have, two parents who were very active on the water. I got to live this lifestyle. Now in the Keys, parents are working, 2-3 jobs just to afford their place. So when they come home, not only may they not have the knowledge on how to fish, but kids are exhausting and you may not just have the energy.
Right.
So being able to teach kids the next generation of anglers, my dad was always big on the next generation of anglers. And I think it's important that we take some of these individuals that have such a wealth of knowledge down here about the conservation, about proper fishing practices, just general ethics, and teaching the next generation, like, here's how to do it the right way, to make sure that they, don't take over their bag limits, to make sure that they know, the difference between different rigging and how this rig, doesn't get caught up on coral heads as much as this rig does. And, teaching them and incorporating different things like marine mammal education, coral reef education. So, because the ocean is just, it's all together. Everything has to be happy in order for it to thrive. And, these days it's just not. So, really trying to focus on these kids and teaching them, like, this is why it's important. You wonder why all these regulations are in place these days. Well, it's because we didn't know any better 50, 60 years ago, but now we do. Mm-hmm. So let's change that. And I still have hope for our little planet. And I really hope that this can be part of the solution. It's not going to change everything, but, we do the best we can with what we got.
Yeah, and I mean, every little bit in a positive direction definitely helps. If somebody wants to support the foundation, I imagine you have a website they can just go and make a donation, or what's the best way to do that?
Yeah, so if you want to make a donation, you can go to josewejebe Wejebe is spelled Wejebe, B as in boy, E. Should look like Wejebe. And we have a donate button there. There's also a link that you can click to where it says contact us, to where you can get directly to me if you have any questions, want to become involved on some level. Angie, I love that we're such a grassroots organization that we can really tap into a lot of different individuals, a lot of different resources. And, you may be in Tennessee, but you can still help. And I'm always happy to talk to people to see like what kind of level they can do that, whether it's, you having me on your podcast, or to someone like Beth and Lori from Two Chicks in a Boat, who are helping me with the mentorship program because they have a background in youth mental health, about mental health. And that's huge. Yeah. And that's important.
For more than 100 years, pheasant hunting has been a storied South Dakota tradition. Now, for the next century, South Dakota is focused on expanding pheasant hunting's horizons, welcoming more sportswomen to the field, giving them a greater voice in the hunting community. That's a legacy to stand the test of time. Want a shot at free gear and an even greater adventure? Enter for a chance to win DSG outerwear gear and the hunt of a lifetime with Melissa Bachman of the Sportsman Channel. Learn more at huntthegreatestsd.com/DSG. Very important. Well, it's awesome. I love all the different things that you're doing to help. And I know conservation was a huge thing for your dad, and it's so very important. And all these things play together. I mean, bringing more youth into the sport, if we don't do that, we're going to lose it. Because that's one of the things too that funds conservation efforts. I mean, there's so many things that are all intertwined, and I just love that you're, you have that instilled in you to carry it forward and make a difference. So
yeah.
Very cool. Well, I also want to talk about something really special that just recently happened. So I love Costa sunglasses and what I wear every time I'm out on the water. And a very, very popular frame style that they've had out in honor of your dad are the Jose frames. And just recently, within the past week or so, I guess,
like 2 or 3 weeks. Yeah.
The Jose Pro line just got released, and with that too, they put out a really cool short film that I really enjoyed. I can put a link or embed that into the website for this episode if people want to see it, or you can just find it on YouTube. But talk a little bit about that.
Well, I just want to say Costa did an absolutely fantastic job on that film. They really did. The team that they sent down and the questions that they asked, a lot of I've been interviewed a few times, and they just really made it all very natural. It was very easy to talk on camera with the whole team and everything. And just bringing down people like Michael Murrett, who did a Make-A-Wish with my dad, and the way having him on camera, being able to speak on behalf of him, but also people in the industry like Benny Blanco, or who's a fisherman, and just being able to tie it all together and like who was Jose and the impact that he had. It was an honor to be able for them to even consider the frame, considering it's been, like I said, it's been so long. But I think that's a true testament on, obviously I'm biased. He's my dad. I'm never going to forget him. But it's a true testament of like real legends never die. And what a way to solidify that with having Costa, such a big company like that. But they grew up together, that company and my dad. I remember when my dad first started working with them and opening up their magazine, and their magazine was 2 pages, like 2 or 3 pages, more like a little flyer. And I think they had like 6 or 7 sunglasses. And I was like, Dad, get me a pair of sunglasses. And I couldn't find a pair that, fit my face. I was a teenager. And now, I mean, my goodness, they have completely embraced the whole women's line, the whole lifestyle line. And to be able to put together a pair of sunglasses that it's amazing when you get on the water of how picky you are with your sunglasses and the frames and, the different lenses that you have, and, whether they're amber or mirror, and just the amount of detail that they put into all that stuff, which I love my sunglasses. So Jose's have always been my favorite. They just fit my face better. Just all the little additions that they put into them. I have 2 boys. I have a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old. And my 2-year-old comes upstairs in the morning, probably like 5:30 in the morning, and he's got a pair of my Jose sunglasses. And he wakes me up and says, Mommy. And I'm like, oh God, give me my sunglasses. And he pulls both the arms completely horizontal with the frames, like all the way out. And I'm just like, you little, and nothing happened. He put them back and they were fine.
Wow.
They're even toddler proof. They're extremely durable. If he were to do that with any other pairs of sunglasses, which he actually has before, and the lens pops right out. So it was nice to see, like, oh shoot, they are a pro series, but they actually like stand up to their name with they're kid proof too. But just having like the adjustable nose and like the arms bend really well. They're not too tight, but they're tight enough. They're not going to fall off your face. I can tell you, I've looked over the side of the boat to see, oh, we got color, and you look over and boom, there's our sunglasses. So it's nice to have something that grips your face, but grips your head, but also doesn't give you a headache.
Right.
I've recently had 3 different brain surgeries, and I have a lot of incisions on the side of my head. So wearing sunglasses was, it hurt. I would get a headache if I had them on for too long. And, just the way these are able to bend, where they're not too tight, but they're enough that they're not going to fall off your face. And they fit a lot of different face frames too. They fit, women. If you got a big old head, they still look good. If you got a smaller head, they still look great. So, I know a lot of guys can always be kind of like faithful to their one style of frames. And I can there's a reason why the Jose's are so popular, because they do fit multiple frames, and just being able to like not have like the extra glare on the side, that peeks in through, the outside of your eyes. And it's definitely a lot of thought went into the whole process and everything. And they did a great job.
Yeah, I agree. I love the Pro line, and my favorite feature you mentioned is that adjustable nose piece, because that's just a issue I have with fogging all the time. You get up early in the morning to go out fishing. It's humid out. You step out the door and boom, you can't see anything because your lenses are fogged up. But you can adjust that nose piece, and it gives a little ventilation, and it helps cut down or eliminate that fogging issue. So that's one of my favorite features.
Yeah.
So, and awesome for Costa to do this. And, it's just seems like it's a perfect match as far as, mission with conservation. They're heavily focused on that as well. And, and again, I just encourage everybody to take a few minutes and watch that short film, because like you said, it is really well done, and it will really give you, if you're not familiar with the legacy that Jose has left behind, it will really give you a good look at what he was all about and the impact that he made on the industry. So
yeah. And I hope it'll get to those new generations that didn't watch cable TV. They're watching a lot of the stuff on YouTube, or, some of the streaming stuff. That the show is available again back on Waypoint, Obsession Media, and there's going to be a new launch of a TV station called Fish On. So the show is getting back out there. It hasn't been on the air for about 7 years. So I'm excited to start getting it back out there. So it's like something like watching The Godfather or Dirty Dancing or whatever, like those classics that, sometimes you can, I've heard from people, well, Krissy, the tackle that he's using isn't relevant today, or blah, 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 blah. But it wasn't about, the watch me fish. The show was it was never about Jose. It was, to me, it always felt like, we're going to be going to this place and we're going to be fishing with this guy. And let me tell you a story, and, come with me on this journey, and let me tell you about this man and where he comes from and why we fish that way. And, just all the little details in it. I think one thing that really did make my dad different than a lot of fishermen out there was, going back to like the dolphin training with my mom. They actually met at Miami Seaquarium. My dad, he worked his way up from being a tropical fish collector to actually working with the dolphins. And when he started, he first got like discovered by the, training department, was because he trained a moray eel and a Goliath grouper in the tank that he was cleaning, like how to do different behaviors with a hand signal. So he'd give him a hand signal and they'd swim around him or swim in between his legs. So, wow. That brought him up into, working with marine mammals. And then eventually they moved down here. My mom started working at Dolphin Research Center. My dad started fishing. But the fact that my dad, he got wet, he understood fish behavior. He understood how the fish acted when there weren't boats around. And I really think that kind of gave him a leg up on like, okay, this is how they behave underwater when no one's here. Let me apply some of that information that I just learned on how to get them above water. So, just all the different realms that he really kind of encapsulated. I'm excited for people who haven't seen the show to be able to see it again. I'm excited for people to watch this film and get interested. And just really kind of try and continue his legacy.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure there is a wealth of knowledge to be learned by watching those episodes, even if they are older. And you mentioned Waypoint, so I'll just give them a little shout out because this podcast is part of the Waypoint Outdoor Collective. So, love what they're doing over there. And
awesome.
Yeah, great platform to go watch a lot of incredible fishing content. So, anything you've got coming up that you want to mention?
So our next event for the foundation, we have a Spanish Fly Music Festival down here in the Keys at Boondocks and Ramrod Key, January 29th, which is always a great time. We have a great list of performers that are coming. We have great silent auction items. It's a great family event where we have face painting and balloon animals and a bounce house. And it's just a really cool community event for everybody to get together and for us to kind of, continue his legacy. And some people don't know, my dad was also a huge musician as well. Very, very good at the guitar, whether it was electric or acoustic, big Eric Clapton, Jimi Hendrix kind of fan. So we wanted to incorporate that other part of his life, which was so huge, which was music. And then March 4th, we do a Fish for Jose. It's a social media campaign. It's also an event down here, a one-day dinner, where we ask everybody just to go out and do something Jose would do and hashtag Fish for Jose. So whether that's, and you can do this at any point in time, but just to go out and do something Jose would do, whether it's, clean up your local area. My dad's house was on the water and he was always out trash picking every morning, drinking his coffee, bring a kid fishing, learn something new. If, the event's in March, but if you're in Wisconsin and it's still snowing out, you can't really do a whole heck of a lot. Learn how to tie a new fly or, just continue learning. My dad never stopped learning, and he was a great listener. Whenever he'd meet with people, he was always asking them about how they fished and what they learned with that Fish for Jose aspect. We want to continue that as well.
Awesome. Well, maybe I'll get to make it down there for that event in January, since I'll just be in Fort Myers. Hopefully, we'll see.
I would love to have you.
That would be awesome. Well, I really want to thank you for taking some time out of your day to be on the show. It's been an honor getting to chat with you, and hopefully we'll get to meet in person. I'm kind of surprised we haven't. I'm sure we've crossed paths. I was at ICAST as well, and so I'm sure we've been in close areas, but just haven't actually met. So I'm sure we'll make that happen soon. And,
we'll make that happen at ICAST next year. I'm always there.
Awesome.
Well, thank you, Angie, for your time. I appreciate it.
My pleasure.